Hey, it's me, Dr. D, and I am so excited because I just finished an interview with Vick Davis. No, he's not my cousin. We are not related, but he is the guy that inspired me to start these interviews to blend my love for psychology and jiu-jitsu. So stay tuned because this interview is hot. I'm excited to talk to you because you were the person that really, I guess, encouraged me to do this in the first place.
Yeah.
Because you're like, put me on your podcast. I'm like, I don't
Yeah.
have one. And I was like, maybe I should start one. And then there's other guys that have been asking about, like, put me on the podcast. I'm like, I don't have one. So we're getting it started.
Yeah, I think it's a good thing to have a podcast, especially, you're having a doctor, you're working with like women's self-defense, therapy. That's something that's, very much needed, men and women. And it's like, I see like a lot of people in our community, not just jujitsu, just around here, when they kind of interactions with you, like very comfortable, your mom. So it's just like
Yeah.
that nurturing thing. And it's just like very easy to talk to. Yet, like people might, oh, she's very small, and maybe but then you're, purple belt in jujitsu, so it's like, it's. I just think it's like it was like a good thing for you to do. I thought you would do a lot of good work, and just the access of people you had to talk to, just a whole array of characters, different personalities, people who come from maybe one step away from going to prison. You've got people who have been parole officers. I'm a bilingual trainer for the state, and just all kind of different people you would talk to. And I think it would be really good because we all network, send it out, and who knows, maybe this could lead you to going to talk to more people just throughout the United States, throughout the world, because jujitsu is just taking over, as well as people needing therapy. So I think it was a good thing for you to do.
Well, thank you for
Yeah.
inspiring me
Yeah.
and pushing me a little bit.
Hey, that's what we do.
So I do have questions for you.
Okay.
I have 7.
All
We'll
right.
see if we get to them all. But first, introduce yourself because people who are watching, they're like, who is this guy you're talking to?
Okay.
So tell me who you are, your rank,
Okay.
how you got into jiu-jitsu.
My name is Victor Davis. People call me Vic, or in jiu-jitsu, Uncle Vic. I got into jiu-jitsu in 2019, and prior to that, 2017, my father was really sick, and I was kind of running in North Dakota, Nashville, Minneapolis. He had kidney disease. He was diabetic, and it was just from like poor health choices, and we didn't really have the best, relationship. And like my mom, who has been like my superhero, my mentor, like my role model, like everything to me. She was like, "Hey, make amends with your dad, but you got to be there." So I started kind of like drinking all the time and like in the bars. I got in a little bit of trouble. And one of my homeboys named Terrell, we call him Black Belt Jones in this area. I think you met him
Yeah.
at the barbecue.
Your twin, right?
Yeah, that's what everybody says. So I said, hey man, like I want you to train me, I'll pay you. And he was like, I really don't have the time, but I got something for you. So he dropped me off at my old gym that I started out at, and like that first day I was like sore from the bottom of my feet to the top of my head. Every muscle that I've never used was just like aching, and I was like, I was hooked. I loved it. Like I was like, I just wanted to keep doing it. I don't know. I was like, I tried running, jogging, like I tried everything, lifting weights, and it just wasn't. And jiu-jitsu was something I was like, man, I'm hooked. It was just a good community. And it's been healing for me, like on a lot of stuff that I've been going through. So that's kind of how I got into it. And then 2019, ever since then, I've just been continuing with it. Training as much as I can when I can, and taking some breaks, letting my body heal, but training smart at my age.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How old are you?
I am 47. I will be 48 in like 13 days, August 15th.
That's
So
right. So your birthday's coming up.
Yeah.
Awesome. Okay. So jiu-jitsu, a lot of people say like jiu-jitsu changed my life or saved my life. And so it sounds like that's true for you.
Yeah, a lot of stuff like drinking all the time. I love having drinks, but it's like when I got in some trouble, I had to, started thinking, if I'm gonna keep drinking, I'm gonna keep getting in trouble. Then, if I can't drive, I can't go train, I can't depend on people. And then, I went through a divorce, and like I was trying to, I wanted to be a good father, a good boyfriend, a good person, and it was just like my life was kind of like in shambles. So like jujitsu, it was kind of like You got to be disciplined. You got to train. You got to get up and keep going at it. You know, you're going to get better over time, but it's not going to happen overnight.
Yeah.
And I kind of, those two kind of went hand in hand for me. Like, I started becoming a better father. Like, my health, I was getting better. I wasn't out drinking as much. I was, you know, learning about these challenges like the 75 hard challenge. Had no clue what it was, but I came into contact with some guys in jiu-jitsu and they're talking about this David Goggins guy. And I was like, oh, and I looked him up. I'm like, this dude is like just the man. So I would do these 75 hard day challenges. And then my mom was like in tears and she was like, man, your life is changing. You're looking good. You're looking healthy. And then my daughter would say something to my mom, then my son, and then people. So just like the health aspect, like mentally it was good. Like if I was having bad days at work, I can go train. And it was just like figuring stuff out. And the same thing with jiu-jitsu, figuring out, hey, how do I escape this, get out of that? But it taught me like a lot of coping skills. Just it was good for me. I don't want to say like, oh, everybody should try it. You know, everybody gets into jiu-jitsu, you should try it. Like, it worked for me. It was really good for me. I was an athlete, and I still like playing sports, whether it was indoor soccer, flag football, softball. Like, I wanted to do something that was still a little bit competitive, but it's also a skill. You know, I can defend myself, and I just really like, you know, the people. I like my coach, who is, you know, Bird and Ryan, and also Charlie. Those guys have really like pushed me to be like even better, even take better steps, or more steps at being better than what I've been last year. And like Ryan always says, like 1%, and I was like, what is he talking about? And he's like, just every day get 1% better. So I try to do that, and then like, you know, Bird, he holds me accountable. You know, it's like, you know, don't come unhinged. If you think about something, let me know. We could talk about it, but just become a better person. That works with like kids. He's helped me on situations where I wanted to flip out prior to a couple of things. And basically I kind of thought, he's like, hey, just think about it. And then like Charlie, he comes from a pretty cool background, Southern Illinois, but like we had a lot, he's in the art. So he kind of like, we can relate on a lot of things and some of the struggles we have. So it's just a good, you know, community for me that helps me out.
Yeah. I like how you brought up the 1% because I know that's something I hear often in jiu-jitsu. And when I first heard that, I was like, what is that all about? And I was curious why I only heard that in jiu-jitsu spaces. Because I'm a very goal-oriented person, and I apply that to my daily life. Like, I dream really big sometimes, but that 1% just keeps me focused and just doing like one thing at a time.
Yeah, definitely. That's something I try to look at. Like, even just learning in jiu-jitsu, even going to work, just trying to like pick up something at work new, tell other people. Because I train people at work to become caseworkers, so I was like, let me tell them something. You know, if I find out one little thing and I can help them, because it's already going to be difficult coming into this new job. You know, 10 weeks, you're working for the state, this great job, and it's like, am I going to mess up? Am I going to have enough cases? So I just told them, if you can just do 1%, like every day, just to get better by 1%, you'll be all right.
Yeah. All right, so I'm going to get back into what you said about, you know, you starting jiu-jitsu and your why. But your first question is, what's the difference between the guy who walked in his first day of jiu-jitsu and the guy sitting across from me today?
I think when I walked in to jiu-jitsu, I was just like, I just want this black belt. I just want to be this tough dude. Like, I really want to be able to pursue, like, if I can become violent, I can do it. I think it was for probably majority of all the wrong reasons, and like the outlet was just like, I can actually go in there and physically hurt somebody, you know, smaller than me or my size, and that totally wasn't it. That totally, like, when I got into it, it was like kind of like a culture shock when I went and lived in Mexico. Like, you think it's going to be this way, and when I got into it, it was totally different. Some of the things I was taught, and then just talking with people, and like little lessons I would learn, like I would just get beat senseless by smaller people, girls, and not that, you know, girls can't fight, nothing like that, but I'm like, man, I should be able to. And it's just like, keep coming back, and it's like I started learning things. So, and I take that into like now, like instead of rushing at stuff, like that 1% we go back to, it's like I just keep learning stuff, and eventually I'm gonna get better, and I keep putting more effort into it, and I've gotten better. So, and that's the same thing with like off the mats. I've gotten better with like finances, being a better person. So I think it's just kind of changed me, and it's like I'm not doing jujitsu for the wrong reasons. I think I'm doing it for a healthy outlet. And once I've accepted it's a healthy outlet, it's kind of like became even a bigger outlet in touching like other aspects of my life, like being a father, being a boyfriend, being a friend, being a brother. So I think it's just made me a better person, and it's made me actually look at jujitsu as just not like something you use for like fighting and inflicting violence. It's something like it's I guess maybe more like reserved and stuff. Like I don't want to fight. Like now that I know it, it's like I don't want to fight. Like we always hear if you're a 6 month white belt on up, like the average person in a bar, unless they get some cheap shot or some luckiness out of it, you're pretty tough. Guy, girl, you're tough. Like you can pretty much handle your business. So it's like I don't want to be that guy who's like just a bad attitude and like I'm walking around with this skill. It's like I want to learn something and teach people, like kind of like with like Bruce Lee, like that kind of like thing, like use that like your as the last means of doing anything. So it's taught me how to be reserved. It's taught me about work, doing stuff in work. So it's just taught me from when I walked in there to be a better person. Like I said, my dad passed away. It helped me for the last few years when he was alive, like kind of like become a better, me and him kind of trying to somewhat mend our relationship. It was tough. It wasn't the greatest, but it helped me a lot. So
that's awesome.
Yeah.
Okay. Number 2, what's the difference between a man who trains to feel powerful and a man who trains to feel in control?
I think when you train to be like powerful, like sometimes that could be like blessing and a curse, because you can train to be powerful to make a presence, whether you're in like maybe law enforcement, maybe you're a soldier, maybe you're corrections officer, something where you have to maybe come off as a powerful person so you can't be intimidated.
Okay.
So, and I think that it can be good and bad, because power, once you abuse power, that can be something that you may not be able to come back from, or you might like eat that up, and it's an ego. So that ego will definitely like, you can get the best of anybody, man, woman. So I think power is like, it's kind of like that fine line you're walking with power. You got to kind of know, am I using this power to show that I'm this macho person, or am I using this power like to let people know, hey, in a situation, I am the person you can come and call and look forward to. But now as in control, I think I would like more of like jujitsu is for in control, because I know sometimes I could go and become unhinged, and just like I think about in jujitsu, if I just start scrambling and go crazy, it's like I'm gonna lose sight of the match, lose sight of points. But like if I have slow control, like all right, it's gonna work. Just take time and just be in control. And like I think right before we got here and started, like my coach was saying he wanted me to work on like relaxing and like escaping things out of control. So, and it's kind of like I like it when I got a lot of stuff going on, like I need to be in control. So I think that works for me. Like I don't really need the power. I'm not one like, I don't know if I would like to be in any kind of position of management, but I would like to be in control to where if I had to run a class, or if I had to do something outside of my job duties, like I'm in control, even if it's like high levels of stress. So I think in control is better for me. But like also with power, if somebody says, hey, if something arose and they needed some type of power, like I could look for Vic for power or for control. So I think it can be used as both, as long as you kind of keep a leash on it and you don't let it get out of control for either. You don't want to have like in jiu-jitsu just this take over total control and you neglect your family and whatever other duties, because it can't be that with this little clique of people we have.
Yeah, there has to be a really good balance with that.
Yeah.
I think in life and in jiu-jitsu specifically, which we'll get into in a minute. Okay, so I want you to think about like who you are on the mats, because you're already kind of blending your life in jiu-jitsu and your life every day outside of jiu-jitsu. But is there a version of you that only exists on the mats?
I don't think so, because I think like in jiu-jitsu, I really like just the art of it, like all the different, like the guards. I like the different submissions. I like
What's
the
your
different
favorite?
paths. I would say probably I like the Kimura. Like that's something I really
Me
like
too.
for a submission, and like I like pulling guard, but there's like so much stuff out, and I'm like always like amazed by it, and it's like I know it's that thing like do one thing 1,000 times, or you know if you do 10,000 things, but I just kind of like seeing a lot of that, and I focus my game on one thing, but I like to look at a lot of things, and I kind of think that's like my life. Of I was an art major, I was an art teacher, speak Spanish, did some DJing, was part of like a hip hop show, traveling. So it's like it's kind of like the same thing with jujitsu. I'm like kind of like all over. I like a
Very
lot. I
eclectic.
like
Yeah.
eclectic. I like a lot of stuff in jujitsu. So it's just like I'll see, my like Charlie. He's a black belt, and he does like these weird passes where it's backstep, and then I see Bird incorporate wrestling, and then Ryan's grabbing like your lapel. So it's kind of like me in life. Like I like different things. Like maybe one day it's like I like energy drinks for 6 years, and now I'm starting to like coffee, and then it's like I didn't eat breakfast, so now I'm starting to eat breakfast. So it's like just learning a whole bunch of different things, and it's like incorporating them to where I know a little bit about a lot.
Mm.
So I think it's just something I like learning, and like I think jujitsu is like really good for me because it's constantly learning. It's not like something you can
Yeah.
go from like A to Z and that's it. It's like there's always new techniques, and it's kind of like life. There's always something new coming out with, even with my job, there's something new at my job, some new policy, something I have to implement. So I kind of like that, and that's always kind of been like me. I've always liked to be in a lot of things and kind of like try different things.
Yeah.
And more artistic though. Like I was more of an artistic person.
You're very artistic.
So
I love that about you too,
yeah.
because I don't see that often. And I don't see a lot of people that I can get close to that are artistic in that way. So, like, to get to know you and know your brain and just see
Yeah, I
how,
was like,
it's
I
really
was,
interesting.
I was the weird, like, out of like our little tribe of guys and people I hang out with. Like, I was just kind of like the art one, the weird one. It was like he listens to weird music, but then like he's like, it was like I was like just the odd one, like just different stuff I liked, and then they were just like, but it was not like they ever shunned me. It was just like I was just a different one. I think it was like that artist. Kind of,
Yeah.
I like equated to like the anime guys that you see, like these anime guys. I have no clue about them. It's just kind of like Alex, like he knows about all this anime and like all
Yeah.
this like spiritual stuff, and it's like he was like he reminds me of like me when I was younger because like I was the art, I was in art and the graffiti, and like some people are like, we're just into like whatever was going on at the time that was popular. So I just that was just kind of like
I'll be curious to see, because you're a brown belt now, so
yes.
I'll be curious to see how your game evolves into the black belt, but using your artistic side of yourself with jujitsu.
I think now like I know from purple. Well, at purple belt you have some more submissions, but like at brown you got a lot more submissions, and then you might have guys that have been running schools that are waiting to get their black belts. Maybe guys who've been brown belts for 10 years who off and on. So, and speaking at my age, being a master's four, like so, there's guys who've been training 15 to 20 years, and it's like I got to go against them. So it's like I have to actually, I think my game, I have to really fine tune it. I have to, even if they see it's coming, I have to still do it. And it's like, you just have to learn, like whatever your coaches tell you, you have to trust that it actually worked that. And that's, that's what I'm doing. So I think it's just a few more like newer techniques and newer submissions. So I look at it kind of like walking up the steps or like climbing a mountain, going to Mount Everest. Like you're slowly getting to the top, and it's like, oh, there's one more little obstacle we got to get over. So it's like now we got a little bit more difficulty, and then like when it gets to black belt, it's like you got to pull it all in together and remember everything from the white belt all the way up. So I think it's just like just slowly evolving and just constantly learning.
Yeah. All right, so you ready to get into relationships?
I am. Let's hear it.
All right, your first question, it's jiu-jitsu related. But have you ever chosen jiu-jitsu over your partner?
I have.
And what happened?
Um,
If you want to share.
yeah. I'll share. I think it was. We went out after a competition, and a partner at the time was like, "Are you gonna come home?" And I was like, "Yeah, I'm gonna just go eat and I'll be out." But like, I don't know, just the camaraderie of hanging out with everybody and like coming off the mats, and it's like that high adrenaline. If you haven't competed in like a combat sport, you wouldn't know. But if you've been an athlete, or you've been like speaking on stage, it's like after you get off, it's like that adrenaline rush. You did good. You get, even if you lost, whatever you thought you bombed, it's like, and it's just like everybody's talking with you, and it wasn't right. It should have been an easy thing. It's like, hey, I'm not gonna make it, and I should have communicated that with that person, but I didn't. But once again, like with jujitsu, if you don't communicate, if you're not listening to somebody talking to you, like you will not like learn and you won't evolve. So I kind of look at like, all right, this is like kind of like jujitsu. I've got to communicate like what I need, what I want, and if I would have just communicated with that person, it would have been okay. Because I don't want whoever to think like this is just more important than me, because jujitsu is a hobby. It's not paying my bills, so it doesn't take priority over a lot of things. It can't be coming over your family, your loved ones, if there's something important, your parents. But there has to be like in that. It has to be like right in there. Like you have to have that nice fine-tuned balance. So, and I just think with me, I've gone through 2 divorces. So, like,
Were you in jujitsu?
no, I was not.
Okay.
No, it wasn't. But like, I think having a healthy relationship and some of the stuff I've learned in jujitsu has kind of helped me with like being committed and constantly showing up, communicating with coaches what I need, listening. When you're on the mat, like you can't hear anything except for the coach. So it's like kind of like in a relationship, you've got to listen to that person. You can't listen to all your friends, everything out here. You got to listen to that one person. So I kind of can see how jujitsu, some of the stuff that applies to jujitsu applies to the relationship.
Yeah, absolutely. So. And I think that's interesting too how you brought that up. But I watch from the sidelines. I see a lot of men that talk about the relationships, and there's often days where they're like staying all night till, sometimes they're the last person to leave, right? And I'm always like, well, what's your wife doing? Or what's your girlfriend doing? Like, are they waiting for you? Is your family waiting for you to get home? And does jujitsu really get in the way? Is that you or is it jujitsu?
No, I think, like, when I talk to a lot of, like, people who train a lot of jujitsu, and I see it as a lot of people may have had some troubled, history, like whether it was bad relationship, whether it was alcohol, drugs, bad families. It's like jujitsu is like a safe spot for them. And I think if spouses, whether it's man, wife, husband, whatever it is, whatever relationship you have, I think if they could see, hey, this is a way better outlet in health to hang out with these guys doing jujitsu than saying, that person who was before jujitsu in the bar. Like if I, like myself, like I would much rather be the person who's staying late hanging out with jujitsu people than the person before jujitsu when I was just in the bars drinking constantly shots, just living pretty reckless and like not really caring and not really having any accountability. But like jujitsu guys in that community were having accountability. So I think it's like, yeah, it can be a problem if you don't come home, but I think it's not a really big issue because I think it's a lot healthier. And I think the person who's in jiu-jitsu and the person who's not, they're like, okay, he might be spending a lot of time, but he's not at a bar. He's not with women. He's not at the strip club. He's not, running the streets. He's somewhere I know. And it's like, if I ask this person, hey, can you take off for a vacation? And I would probably say 100% of the time, it's always been, yeah, I got to take off, guys. I've got to go on this vacation. Or, hey, fellas, my husband's taking me somewhere. So or the kids got to do something. So I think it's a mutual respect when somebody's in jiu-jitsu, but it's really good for them because it's a healthy outlet. And I want to say, like, everybody who's in there, if they're, training because they wanted to escape, some negativity, it does really well. Like, kind of see that and let them do that, but like also kind of talk with them, communicate, and say, hey, I need something too, and not jujitsu all the time. I need your time also.
So what advice, from I guess your experience or what you've witnessed, other guys go through, but what advice would you give to a wife or girlfriend where their partner is just now starting jujitsu and starting to fall in love with it?
Support. and also have like a good boundary, but like, hey, I understand you're training, but like I still want some time with you.
Yeah.
But like also, go see what that person does, see what makes them happy, and
Yeah.
then and just 100% support, but also like with jujitsu, you got to communicate. So communicate that to your spouse, like, hey, like maybe you can train 4 days a week, and then I get this date, or make a date night and stick to that date night. And if you have kids, I know that's a whole different story. Maybe say, hey, babe, if you're gonna have the kids Monday and Tuesday, I'll train. Then Wednesday and Thursday, I'll have the kids, and then Friday we can have a date night. Saturday I can do open match during the day, and then Saturday, Sunday we got the family time. Like have a schedule and stick to that.
That's good.
I think that would be the best thing because some people get in it, and they're out within 6 months. Some people get the blue belt, they're out, and then some people take long hiatuses, come back. So it's just respect your spouse, significant other, and just communicate with them and have a schedule and stick to it. And if things change, which they do, you might want to go out of town for competition, let them know and don't do it last minute. And just respect their wishes and respect their time. And that's about it.
No, that's good stuff. All right. There's a question here that I think you kind of already answered, so I'm going to skip that one. Okay, so here's a different one, switching to training with other women. So I know you've trained with me before, and I don't know the gym that you came from, where you are now. Do you train with women?
Yeah, we train with women.
So does training with other women influence how you interpret boundaries or intimacy in your relationship?
I look at like when you're training with women in jiu-jitsu, like it's kind of like I would do with like how we treat relationships. You have to be respectful. Like I'm of course a bigger dude. I am 6'3", 220 pounds. Like, and we don't really have a lot of bigger females, but like with the ones we do, it's like I want to get better. I'm not gonna be like super easy on them, but it's like I want to be technical and be respectful of them. And I'm not getting into jujitsu to, cop feels and do anything weird. That's like some weird stuff if you would get into like martial arts. I think when you're doing jujitsu, you're going to be in close quarters with male, female. And I think it's a mutual respect. And as long as you have respect for your partner, everybody knows when they get into this, like you're going to be hot, you're going to be sweating on people, you're going to be grazing all body parts everywhere, and it's like it's as long as like you're not doing it and being some weirdo like some creep stuff. I think for the most part everybody, man and woman, respect each other on the mats and understand, hey, this wasn't intentional. So, and that's what I do with my relationships. I'm not trying to do anything crazy weirdo. It's like I respect my partner, I respect her boundaries, all of that. So and that's you have to respect if you're rolling with somebody and a female and she says tap, you may not have think you've been doing something to her. I've been like, okay, you let go really easy and just try to make sure, because that is your teammate. That's somebody you train with. That's somebody you don't want to have a bad experience with a male and a woman. Like there's, women may have some issues where they may have went through some domestic violence, maybe had some trauma, and you don't want to add to that. You want to kind of try to help them and understand, can I be of assistance, and I don't know, like maybe not like any kind of therapy way or anything, like, but like I don't want to be adding more to the trauma of this person. I want to be kind of saying like I'm trying to be help in the healing process, I guess.
Yeah.
So
you brought up something I thought was interesting that relates to jiu-jitsu and relationships. So like respecting the tap. So like in a role, you have to respect someone tapping you to stop whatever you're doing. And you mentioned like even though you didn't realize you were maybe going as hard or as forceful, but that woman that you trained with, they tapped and they wanted you to stop. And the same thing can happen in relationships where you might be hurting the person you're in relationship with, not realizing it, and they need a break or they need you to back off a little bit. And just learning to respect the tap in relationships as well is so important.
most definitely, like, and I'm like I said, I'm always honest. Like I've had some bad relationships. I didn't have the best track record with relationships, and I think I'm getting better with going to therapy, jujitsu. But I think it's respecting the boundaries. Like you respect the tap in jujitsu. You have to respect the boundaries. If somebody's like, hey, I just don't want to talk right now. Don't just keep, hey, let's talk. No, all right, give that person some time. Don't text them. Don't keep calling them. And then also, with trust, like you have to trust your spouse. You just can't think all of this malicious and bad stuff. And the same thing with jujitsu. Like you're rolling with somebody new, you have to trust that person. Like they're not going to hurt you. So, and that's very important. Trust in a relationship, respecting boundaries. And I think if you can do that in jujitsu as well as relationships, it's only going to get better for the two.
Absolutely.
For both. And people who want to train with you, because you don't want to be that person who doesn't want to train with you, and you don't want to be in that guy. People's like, oh, that guy's got a pretty bad track record with relationships, and if you did have a bad track record, like maybe you can kind of like be, redeem yourself.
Yeah.
So.
All right. Last question.
Okay.
All right. So overall, would you say jiu-jitsu has made you a better partner or harder to deal with?
Oh man, that's a good one. I think it's made me hard to deal with in some situations where, like, before I would just become unhinged and I could fly off the handle. And like, but now, like, if there's an issue, like, I'll just be calm and cool. And like, you're not going to do anything. So if I'm in a relationship and she's yelling and screaming or whatever, and you're not listening, I can just be calm and just be like, And like that can frustrate people. Whether it's me, it can frustrate me, or it can frustrate my partner. I can understand that. But then also, like, the second half of that, like, as far as like with me, like, I think it just overall, like, with the, like, it's kind of made me like the stuff I learned on the mats, like the simple things like showing up, leave all your other stuff out the window. If you have a bad day, don't come in here and take it out on people. Yeah. Like some of the people who you would never meet outside the match, you meet, and it's kind of like bringing that into a relationship. Like you got new stuff coming in, you got to learn how to deal with a lot of different things. And you may be uncomfortable with some of that stuff you had to learn to deal with a new partner or spouse or job situation. So I think it's made me good overall in dealing with relationships. It's also made me kind of like, I can talk, I can communicate, I can listen a lot better, because in jiu-jitsu, when you're on the mat, if you're in a competition or your coach is going over something, you got to listen, you got to communicate, you got to hear what they're saying. You just can't just be opening your ears. And it goes when, like that crazy weird thing. I can't remember the quote, but it's like you got to open it, you got to listen. The best way to listen is close your mouth and open your ears. Something like that. I can't remember exactly what it was, but I think it's one of those things. Like those are like certain things you learn in jiu-jitsu all the time, competing, just training. And I think in life, if you do the same thing, if you not always talking, you're listening, communicate, and what is that? Like the 4 elements. I can't remember. This book I read, the 4 elements, is like being practical with your words. So it's like, don't just spew out everything. Like me, I can come on here, and so it's like sometimes I gotta listen and be like, all right, I'm gonna wait. And like I had a little issue where like my coach was like, hey, I want you just to kind of talk to me, and like so like it's kind of pulling back. So I think jiu-jitsu, like when you talk to a coach, and I know it's so corny, people say stuff you learn on the mats and off the mats, it really does work if you really do apply it. And does everything? No, everything doesn't, but for the most part, I would say probably a big 75% of it definitely does work. And it's definitely make me a person who I put up boundaries. I've also like respected people's boundaries. Also, I started becoming a better father. Like I would listen to my daughter when she says something, listen to my girlfriend, she says something, listen to my brother if he says something. So my mom. So I think it's been on both sides. It's been positive for me. It's been a good thing for me.
So jiu-jitsu's taught you to be a better
Communicator, listen. Sometimes walk away from situations where I'm like, hey, this is not really worth my time. Like, I can just walk away, and it's like I don't owe anybody that. Like, this is me. I'm trying to make myself happy. So it's worked out on so many aspects for me, and like I don't think I'll ever stop training. And because the simple fact is, like the group of people you meet, you always you're teaching somebody, and then like you're learning something. So it's always important to learn. something every day. Like my mom was Air Force retired, and like she was very big on like education. Like you're going to college or you're going to Air Force, but I don't think you're making Air Force. You're kind of a rebel. But she's like read and like pronunciation of words, good handwriting. Like she's like always try to learn something, travel, get out there, see the world. So like my mom's always forced me to like to be this learner of everything and try to, if I like it, learn it. And even if you don't like it, try to find out about it. Just don't have a blind reaction. And that's the same thing with jiu-jitsu. Like I might not like a certain technique, but I was like, I gotta try to learn it to see why I don't like it. I can't just blindly say I don't like it. So I think, like I said, they both work out really good jiu-jitsu to life skills and life skills jiu-jitsu.
Yeah. So you're a lifelong learner, it sounds like. And I think that's what also drew me to jiu-jitsu was it's something you can do for the rest of your life.
Yeah, and like health-wise, like I feel good. Like I think, now I'm like getting ready to go on vacation, but like I'm, gaining weight just eating and training lightly because I have to have a surgery. But like when I come back, I was maybe like when I'm really training and, eating good, like I'm about like 205 pounds. And like, that was like me in college, like a freshman year in college. So, and when I go to the doctors and I get my checkups, they're like, hey, you're in good health. I don't have like cholesterol. I'm not taking any kind of pills or anything. So it's like just the normal stuff that happens with getting of age, vision may get a little bad, bad, but like no cavities really. I mean, brushing my teeth all the time, but like, it's just like, I just feel good. Like it's helped me because like I don't like always go to the gym and lift weights. Sometimes I do. I don't like to run a lot, but like jiu-jitsu, and it works every muscle. And
absolutely. And there's some big boys you train with too.
Yes,
so.
yeah. So and it's just like, and you always see people all ages doing jiu-jitsu. I've seen, I see ladies 80 years old getting black belts. Young kids as young as 3 starting, and then it's just like in this huge community, and it's always like the older people I see doing jiu-jitsu, like. They're like, hey man, I lost my husband, I lost my wife, and like I was depressed, and they started getting in there, and like, if you see like some of their journeys, whether it's on Instagram or TikTok, like it seems like they've gotten healthier, like when they've done it, because it's like, hey, they got people that's actually loving what they do, they're giving them inspiration, they're cheering them on. That always feels good to get cheers instead of getting booed and like, man, hearing bad, but like you go in there, man, you did a good job, that was a good tournament. Even if you lose, like one thing I like about my coach is like, even if I lose, like it's like, hey man, you did a good job. Like, but we're gonna work on some other stuff. It's like the lesson I learned as a teacher kind of turned around and came back to jiu-jitsu. It's like when I was a teacher, it was like, yeah, these parent-teacher conferences, these kids, even if the kid's bad, like the parents has heard everything. This kid's bad, this kid's this and that. It's like they're coming to me and they're gonna be like, man, I just don't. And this older, I can't remember what her name was, but she said, start off with something good. And that always stuck with me. And it's like, kind of like with Bird and Rice, like, hey man, you did a really good job. We're going to work on something. So it's like, oh, you were terrible. And it's just like, man.
It's like the cookie method.
Yeah, it's just like, it's like, they're like, they give me good accolades. And then it's like, all right. And then I'm like, man, I wish I'd have won. And they're like, man, we're going to work on it. So it's like, I feel like I won even though I lost, because it's like, hey, they still seen something good that I've done in a loss. They took something positive out of that. So for me being a teacher in my 20s to hearing that same kind of thing in jiu-jitsu when I started in my 40s, it's like, man, it's kind of like I said, life to jiu-jitsu and jiu-jitsu to life is kind of like these lessons I'm picking up all through jiu-jitsu I've kind of learned in life, so, and vice versa.
That's awesome. Do you have a question for me?
Yes, I do have a question for you.
Hold on, let me take a sip of my coffee real quick. Go ahead.
So is it hard for you to balance, being a doctor and in jiu-jitsu? Because being a doctor, I'm guessing you're at the highest level of education and therapy and, working with people, and then to jiu-jitsu. So is it a hard balance? Because I can only imagine what you hear. And so that's probably one of my questions.
That's a great question. I don't think anyone's ever really asked me that. And this goes back to my favorite word, boundaries. I have to have very clear boundaries on the mat, so I cannot counsel anyone that I train with on a regular basis because of ethics. But there are so many people that I will have mat chats with just to listen and, see what's going on. I may be able to point them in the right direction of finding the right therapist for them, knowing that I can't be their therapist. but I'm also the person that has always been a safe space for so many people. And I think the more important role that I have in jiu-jitsu and being a doctor is being the person that allows them to show up as their true self, whether they're hurting or doing well or whatever it is for that day, just to really express themselves without any shame or feeling hesitant to talk about what they wouldn't tell anyone else. So I've had a lot of people message me like, hey, I'm going through this. What do you think I should do? And I can't give them like therapeutic advice, but I can let them talk it out themselves.
Yeah, okay.
So that's the balance I have to have on the mats.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then I would say my second question is, as a black woman, like your demographics are the, most educated. You're, as far as making incomes, you're like excelling at income as black women. But I feel like black women are constantly attacked, whether it's in the workplace, whether it's in public. So do you think jujitsu is like, or even not even if it's jujitsu, but martial arts is something that even from young black women to older black women should kind of maybe try, because maybe some people are uncomfortable with firearms or whatever. Do you think that is something that you would like to implement to see more like African American black women in martial arts? Because I don't see too many, like, with our Honest Collective, I see a few, and they're, all good, all educational, all super, like, beyond, like, when I hear them, I'm just like, man, I just, like, love listening to them talk when we were at the barbecue. They just had so much, like, stuff to say. I just could listen to them all talk. But, like, do you think that is something, like, you would push, like,
Absolutely.
if you could, as a doctor, and especially being a black female doctor, like, martial arts programs that would help you with, depression, whether it's trauma?
Absolutely. I think from what I've noticed, jiu-jitsu attracts people that are, I won't just say intelligent, but just thinkers. And if we can get more black women or black people, period, because we are very intellectual people, we just don't get opportunities to show that sometimes. That is the perfect space for us to be athletic, to be thinkers, to, have community, and like create the community with not just people that look like us, but people that are different from us as well. And to really step into that space and shine in a different way. One thing I've experienced on the mats as a black woman is I've always been called strong on the mats. And you see how small I am, right? I don't feel like I'm being strong. And I know sometimes in jiu-jitsu that's a negative term, right? You're being strong right now. I'm like, well, I'm not trying to. So it makes me think about how am I training. But the first time I experienced a black woman's strength in jiu-jitsu was when I went to the Black Woman Black Belt camp. And it was all black women. And there were older women who were whooping me up. Like, then I realized what they meant by saying, you're so strong. Right?
Okay.
And so if I can take that camp specifically, so shout out to Nicole, if I can get more women to try jiu-jitsu, black women to try jiu-jitsu and recognize that their strength is not something that they have to be, the strong black woman identity, right? We are taught to be strong in certain ways, but jiu-jitsu is a space where we can be strong for a different reason.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, that was a great question.
Hey, I think that's about all the questions I have. I think that's it.
Okay. Well, thank you for letting me see a little piece of your mind.
Well, thank you. Thank you. Like I said, everybody, kind of says I'm the wild child in our little jiu-jitsu group. So it's, kind of see a little bit more on like a little kind of in the closed-in area, not as wild out and kind of more refined. So
that's what jiu-jitsu does for you, though.
Yes.
Yeah, it keeps you control. That's one of the words we use today.
Yes.
That's awesome. All right, so I can't wait to see how this turns out.
Hopefully it's going to be good. I'm
it's
sure
going
it will
to
be
great.
So.
All right, thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Right.
Thank you.